The real reasons you still can't get over him. What's up, everyone? It's Sabrina from anewmode.com, and today I'm going to tell you why you're still stuck on that guy. Be it an ex-boyfriend, a guy that you maybe went on a few dates with, or maybe a guy you never even dated, a guy that you just really liked and you just can't get over him. I've been there, and it's miserable and it's frustrating, and you're just like, why am I still stuck here? I actually was inspired to do this video because the other day I did a Q&A on my Instagram at anewmode, if you're not following me yet. And I just got so many variations of this question, and so many girls are just like, I don't get it. Why can't I just get over him already? So we're gonna talk about it today. I'm gonna cover it all. I'm gonna tell you exactly why you can't get over this guy and give you some tools to help you move on. So make sure you watch this video until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, make sure to tap that like button. It's such a quick, such an easy way to help me out, help me grow my channel. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you want amazing relationship advice delivered to your inbox every day, you'll get content from me and from my partner, Eric. We include personal stories, answers to all of your questions, why guys don't commit, why they don't text back, how to get your ex back, how to get over a breakup, everything and more. You can get it straight in your inbox every day. Sign up at anewmode.com/subscribe. And if you have a question for me, you want something a little bit more personal, you want to work with me one-on-one, then you can set something up at anewmode.com/coaching. I offer email responses, and also we can talk on the phone or over Zoom, whatever you prefer. Here's the thing about relationships. It's not just our emotions that get involved. It's our egos, our insecurities, our childhood traumas. All of that gets into the mix. And when the relationship implodes, there is so much rubble to sort through. And it can take months or years to clear the wreckage. As a result, when a relationship ends, it's not just the other person you're missing. It's a lot of pieces of yourself that need to be retrieved. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that the pain they feel is because they miss their ex so much, or they miss this guy so much, and they think the only way to make it go away is to get him back. But that's not really what's at play here. And a lot of it has nothing to do with him at all. It all has to do with you, which is good news because then that makes it more fixable. Okay, so let's get into the reasons why you're so stuck and you just can't move on. Number one, you think you'll never find anyone as amazing as him. This is why a lot of people have a hard time getting over their first true love or getting over the first guy they really like. They feel like since they've never experienced anything like that before, they never will again. In hearing that, I hope that you realize how absurd that is. But that's how it feels in the moment. It feels like I will never have this feeling again. I will never have this connection again unless I get him back. So my options are get him back or die sad and alone. And when you frame it that way, I mean, of course there's so much on the line. Of course you come from this place of feeling so desperate and you just feel this intense ache to be with him again. And here's the thing, you're not wrong. You may not find somebody exactly like him, but what you will find is someone better suited for you than him. And that's a win. That is not a loss. The fact that he doesn't want to be with you just shows you that he's not the right guy for you, because the right guy for you wants to be with you. And if he doesn't, then he's just not for you. And the next guy will be. So don't despair and think that this was your one and only shot at true love. And speaking of, I want to give you a little tool here. I think a big mistake that I see so many women make, and in my coaching sessions, I feel like the majority are ex-back questions. I mean, this is really the number one thing, like either how to move on or how to get him back. And when you lock yourself into this idea that he was your one true love, he was your soulmate, he's your twin flame, whatever, and you tell that to yourself, you make it even harder for yourself to move on because you keep feeding yourself this idea that he's my soulmate, he's my one true love. You only got one soulmate, so I gotta make it work with him. So if you are doing that, I just want you to notice it and I want you to stop. I want you to stop defining him as your soulmate, even though maybe in this moment that's how you feel. I don't care. Maybe that is how you feel. Maybe it's the truth. Maybe it's the reality. Maybe down the line you guys will end up together, but we don't live in the future. We live in the present. So we need to focus on what we have right now. So anytime you tell yourself, you know, he was my first love of my life, my soulmate, whatever, stop and say to yourself, you know, I don't know that he is my soulmate. So yeah, I miss him. I feel curious about what he's up to, but don't lock yourself. Use whatever language you want to use, but do not use the language of, I love him, he's my soulmate, he's the only man for me. That's just gonna keep you blocked. Number two, you weren't infatuated. Most people confuse love and infatuation, even though these are two very different things. Love is about realistically seeing who the other person is, flaws and all, and embracing them for the entire picture. When you're infatuated, you usually create an unrealistic image of who the other person is, and you see them as this absolutely perfect, supreme being, and you get caught in the cycle of trying to prove your worth to that other person. And it feels so intense that you convince yourself this must be love. This must be love at first sight, because you don't know him well enough to actually love him at this point. And when the person you're infatuated with makes you feel okay, when he maybe mirrors your feelings back towards you, you feel elated. You feel it's like the greatest high that ever existed. But that's where you are. You're chasing a high because you don't quite have this guy. Or maybe you are dating him, but you still sense that he is beyond your reach, that you can never fully have him. This just isn't true love. This is a fantasy. This is you projecting your insecurities onto this guy. Now, what I mean by that is, you have insecurities, whatever, we all do, it's okay. But you see this guy as your salvation from those insecurities. Maybe you see like he's really hot, he has so much going for him, he has status, he has prestige, whatever it is. And you think, if I can get him to want me, then that will mean I'm worthy. Then that will mean I'm good enough. Then that will mean I am okay. And that's what you attach onto more than who he is as an actual person. There's actually a study, it's not surprising, that women with low self-esteem tend to invest more in their relationships and to stay in relationships that aren't healthy and aren't working. So they polled a lot of women, and the women who rated their partners as being as having more desirable qualities than they had were more likely to invest in the relationship. And when this happens, she is so on the line, she's so on the hook, because the more you invest in someone, the more you come to care about them. So I'll just read you this part from the study. These results represent women who feel that they have fewer desirable qualities than their partner, attempting to make up for this imbalance by investing more time, effort, and economic resources in the relationships. And I've seen this dynamic play out so many times. I've lived through this dynamic in my own life, and it typically ends one way, in heartbreak. So if you are feeling so stuck, but it's on a guy that you never even really had a real relationship with, all you had was maybe something started to get going and then it ended, maybe it never got going in the first place. If you realize that you don't really know anything real about him, chances are you were just infatuated. It was just an image. It was just an idea that you were projecting onto. Number 3, you sold yourself out. This ties into being infatuated and to that study that I cited about when you have low self-esteem, you tend to invest more. In unhealthy relationships, we will often sell ourselves out. Meaning you put up with treatment that you know is unacceptable, that you know you don't really deserve, that you know maybe that you deserve more than this, but you put up with it anyway, just in an attempt to get this guy, to win him over. It's also possible that deep down, I mean, if you guys watch this channel, if you read my content, you've heard me talk about this before, but I will keep talking about it. If deep down you feel you're unworthy or unlovable, then your subconscious mind will always gravitate towards people that treat you that way. So they're kind of validating the way you already feel about yourself, but at the same time, there is that objective side of your brain that recognizes, wow, like this guy isn't really treating me so well. But you stay because you think that maybe that's how you deserve to be treated. And because of that, you sell yourself out. And because of that, it perpetuates these ideas that you may already have. And because of that, your self-esteem dips even lower. The emotional devastation you feel after a breakup is usually in direct proportion to how much you sold yourself out. How much of your wants did you sacrifice for this other person? How many times did you take him back? Of course, the first thing that pops in my head is Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson at this point, right? Like, how many times did you take him back? And how many times did he continue to betray you? How many times did he make a fool of you? How many times did you put his needs above your own? When these relationships end, it will often feel like a piece of you is missing, like you aren't whole. And it's a sickening feeling. And again, you erroneously think that the way to fix this, the cure, is to get him back, to get back together. But that's not what's gonna make you feel better here. It's just gonna make everything worse. What you need to do is look deep within yourself and try and figure out, why did I accept such poor treatment? Why did I stay with a guy who wasn't treating me well? Why did I keep going back, Khloe Kardashian, even though it wasn't working, even though, the same thing kept happening? You need to stop looking at him and how can I get him back and what's he thinking and what's he feeling, and you need to start looking within yourself. Number 4, you miss the way he made you feel. Most of the time, it's not the guy that you're missing. It's the way that you felt when you were with him. You miss the intimacy, you miss the closeness, you miss being desired. And especially when a relationship ends, you tend to only focus on the good parts of it and not the negative parts of it. So all you're doing is remembering the connection, the closeness, because we're human beings. We crave that. We all need that. There's almost always a period of withdrawal after an important element of our life is gone. And just because you're in withdrawal doesn't mean that that thing is meant to be in your life. I mean, I remember when I quit smoking, yeah, I was in withdrawal. I missed my cigarettes. I felt like I lost my best friend. Literally, that is how I felt. But that doesn't mean that I was supposed to go back to them just because my heart was pulling me in that direction. It doesn't mean like, oh, I meant to be a smoker for life. So just because you're being pulled, you feel that gravitational pull, that's just a natural part of, not having something that was such an important part of your life for such a long time. That's a normal part of the process. Don't attribute any meaning to it. And at first, like with smoking, like with quitting coffee, with quitting anything, it's going to be hard to get through the day. But eventually you will get there. You just have to keep going. You have to keep working on yourself. You have to find the lessons that there are to learn in the experience. Because if you can find the lesson, you grow. If you don't find a lesson and you adopt a why me, why do bad things always happen to me, you'll become jaded and then you'll be blocked. Really, when you go through a breakup, you're missing that feeling of being loved and being cared for. So here's a really good exercise to help you move on. So, you're missing this guy, you're thinking about him. Stop yourself and say, what do I miss? Okay, I miss that feeling of connection. I miss that intimacy. Okay, so now we're going to take him out of the equation and you're going to use this as a data point about yourself to learn about yourself. I am someone that craves connection and closeness. And then you're going to ask yourself, what can I do today to increase my feelings of being connected and feeling close? Maybe that means you hang out with your friend, your best friend, your girlfriends, family member. Maybe you do something that connects you to yourself. You go on a hike, you meditate, you do yoga, you take a baking class, something that makes you feel connected to your essence, something that makes you feel alive and excited about life. You probably relied on this guy to give you a feeling of worth. And now that he's gone, you have that lack. So find ways to fill it up yourself. Because if you can do that, then you won't feel that ache for him anymore. You're able to give yourself that thing that is so vital to you. Number 5, you gave up your life for him. Now, this is a natural thing that can happen when you get into a relationship or you really like a guy. You just let other pieces of your life fall by the wayside. You make it all about him and you forget to continue living a balanced, well-rounded, meaningful life. The fact is, a lot of pieces are missing from your life, and so you really need to make an attempt to rebuild. I know you feel empty, but he's not the only one that can plug that hole. You can plug it up yourself. Number 6, you took it too personally. A lot of the time, the pain we feel after a breakup is the throb of a severely bruised ego. Rejection hurts. Even if it had nothing to do with you, it still really hurts and it's painful. And what makes it even more painful is if you take it all personal. If you use what happened to fuel beliefs that you're unlovable, you're unworthy, you're gonna end up alone, that's what makes it so much worse. Sometimes two people just aren't a match. It's as simple and straightforward as that. I know it feels so personal. It feels like a personal attack on you, but I promise you it's not. And you should be grateful that he got the clarity that you guys weren't right for each other so that now you're free to move on to somebody who is right for you. There's also another interesting study that I came across. So it's a study called Changes in Self-Definition Impede Recovery from Rejection, and it was published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. And they examined the link between rejection and a person's self-worth. They basically wanted to look at why certain people suffer for so long from rejection, why it takes certain people so long to get over a breakup or being rejected. So they discovered that participants with a fixed or static view let the romantic rejection linger. Those participants saw rejection as more of a revelation of who they really were, which then caused them to be more closed and defensive in future relationships. So much so that they were still being negatively influenced by rejection that had happened over 5 years before. In contrast, participants with a growth mindset thought those still hurt by the breakup were ready to let it go and could see a brighter future for themselves. Those who see rejection as revealing a core truth about themselves as a person, something about who they really are, may be more likely to struggle with recovery and carry rejection with them in the future. So basically the idea here is that if you are in this fixed mindset, if you just think that, okay, this person broke up with me, must mean I'm unworthy, unlovable, and that's just who I am, then you're stuck. You carry that pain forever. Of course you do. But if you have that growth mindset, if you see that you're always growing and evolving as a person, then you realize, okay, this didn't work out, but something else will, because I'm evolving, I'm working on myself, I'm growing, and I'm not that same person in that relationship. I took what happened, I can learn from it, and I can use that to be even better off in my next relationship. So I hope you can see that it's not just about him. It's not the answer to your problem is not just in getting him back. You have to look deep, look at your patterns, look at who you go for and why. Look at why you stayed in a relationship that wasn't working. Look at why you keep going for guys that are emotionally unavailable, or maybe you keep going for guys that the guys that you want don't seem to want you. I actually have another video on this. I can link that here. Look at yourself, look at your patterns, and focus on creating an amazing life for yourself that you love. If you build it, he will come, trust me. But again, my advice is never rooted in doing anything with the intention of getting a guy. My advice is rooted in helping you have a high sense of self-worth, of really finding happiness within yourself. A byproduct of that is that men will be drawn to you, people will be drawn to you, women will be drawn to you, everybody will be drawn to you. Everybody is attracted to that sort of energy. I hope this was helpful. Make sure to subscribe to the A New Mode newsletter for amazing insights that will blow your head off every morning. You can subscribe at anewmode.com/subscribe. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can set something up at anewmode.com/coaching. Follow me on Instagram at anewmode, and I will see you in the next video.